Welcome to Talk Tuesday, a series dedicated to empowering youth and families. The series is brought to you by Steps Foundation, Inc., where advocacy meets education for the betterment of young minds. I'm Karen Silva, your host and a peer educator at Steps Foundation. This month, we're diving into a crucial topic for teens and their families, college and career readiness. Navigating the path to your future can be overwhelming, but we're here to break it down step by step. Throughout October, we'll explore different career paths, including vocational and technical options, guide you through the college application process, and share tips for financial planning and help you build a resume that stands out. Join us each week as we provide the tools and insights you need to confidently take the next step in your education or career journey. We're joined here today by Smitty, as always, and we're also joined by Jackie and Miss Abigail. Um, and I'm gonna pass it on to Jackie to introduce the topic that we're talking about today.
Thank you, Karen. All right. So we're going to talk about the different types of financial aid available for college students. So that leads me to my first question. What are the different types of financial aid available for college students?
Oh, I love this one. Come on, Smith. I'll let you
No,
go
no,
first.
okay, yeah, because I know you the wisdom, you the master on this one. Oh, I mean, I'm not gonna step all over sis because I know she got the answers for this, but I will say this, and just piggybacking off of last week as well, and that is, you know, the price of higher education um is steep. It's steep. So I think it is in the individual who is seeking to gain this next level of education, does their due diligence and understands what that investment looks like, and then how long is it going to take to recoup that investment? Okay. I mean, it is a major thing. I mean, that's why it's a big political thing now with this whole, forget college debt. That is a big thing. We have individuals now who are living with families and homes and all of these other things, and they're still repaying college debt from 20 years ago. So it's a real thing. And I just ask that, people that are, going to travel that road, do your due diligence, find out what the value is, what the impact is, how long that financial burden will hang with you, because it'll be there and it'll be a real thing. There are many ways to get some financial aid. I'm sure sister's going to go into that, but just be mindful, parents as well as the student, of what you're getting into, and don't do it hastefully, and just be mindful going into that.
My biggest one: scholarships, and more scholarships. I feel like oftentimes our students do not get access to the amount of scholarships that they should have access to. Whether it's because they don't know, they haven't heard about them, or people aren't sharing the resources and information. But scholarships, you guys, it's unbelievable how many scholarships are out there that our youth is not applying for. And a lot of times it is, and I know a lot of the mindset is, oh my gosh, there's so much competition. So I'm just not going to apply because there's thousands of people applying for this scholarship, so I don't stand a chance. And that couldn't be the furthest from the truth, y'all. There are scholarships out there where there's like one person applying. So they're receiving all the funding because there's no competition for them. There are scholarships out there that nobody's applying to. So that money gets recycled, or for a lot of organizations that are providing those funding opportunities, if people continue not to apply for them, they start resourcing that money to other things. So now that's taking away from a valuable resource that you guys could be having to invest in your future. Grants are also available. But one thing I want our students to hear, and even our parents, man, if y'all don't befriend these financial aid departments, the schools have money outside of what they tell you they have. And they hold those dollars waiting for people to come ask about it. And I can tell you that because I was a recipient of several scholarships that were not advertised for schools. So you guys ask the question in your financial aid departments, become friends with those individuals because they hold the key to a lot of the access to funding that you guys do not typically see. So ask questions, show up every semester. So even if they tell you no this semester, show up again next semester and ask the question because the funding is there, the dollars are there, but do not be afraid to apply for those scholarships.
And if I can add, also, I believe we mentioned this last week, internships, getting financial aid that supports the internship. Some schools will supply financial aid for student credit in internships where you could get college credit for an internship and they supply the aid. So different schools offer different things, as Miss Abby said, and some schools offer those as well. So you could also look into those. So that leads.
Can I add as well?
Yes, go ahead.
And then there, again, there's other, you can go to. So here's the thing, like, as a society, we focus on the sensationalized things, right? And like Sis said, let's just say there's a popular scholarship that's going to cover, well, that's another thing. You got to be careful what scholarships cover. They may not cover everything. Some may just cover books. Some may just cover board, Hey, let me tell you, I was at San Jose State and my mom came out of her pocket and I couldn't get a full meal. So I could only do 2 meals a day. 2. So I had to pick and choose. Do I want to do breakfast or dinner or breakfast and lunch or lunch and dinner? Yep. You got to figure it out which one you want because some of those scholarships don't cover everything. So with that said, if everybody wants the most popular one, the whole full ride, everybody's not going to get that. So start looking at other ones and mix and match what you can get, different scholarships, right? And like Sis said, there are a million scholarships and you have to be non-traditional in your search. And what I mean by that is, let's just say you want to go to University X or institution X and they don't, or, you already know there's 5,000 incoming freshmen who are vying for these 3 scholarships, let's say. Go to other venues. Go to Target. Target has scholarships available. So does Big Five. So does Winco. So does whatever, Apple.
So does Burger King.
So does Burger King, right? Like all of these different places can offer different levels of scholarships. And it may be $500, but $500 adds up if you get 500 of them. You know what I'm saying? And to Ms. Jackie's point, the internships, like, right, if you've worked 3 summers in a row for a particular company, don't be afraid to say, hey, mom and pop X store, could you sponsor me $5,000? It goes a long way. They get a tax write-off. There are so many non-traditional ways to get funding for school. Again, like Sis said, we just don't know about it, and we don't know how to pursue the right avenues to ask the right questions. But again, with Sis, what she's doing and the other fabulous nonprofits out there, don't be afraid to knock on doors, man, and ask questions. Because I'm telling you, if you can get through this next level institution without having to fund that money back, pay that money back, you are ahead of the game. So don't be afraid to ask questions. You call me. I got $100. I got $500. It goes somewhere.
Let it go somewhere.
I'm for real.
But it's true. Look, I think a lot of times students shy away too from the small dollars because it's like, oh, it's only $100. Y'all, one book will cost you $97. So that $100 just covered a book.
and so let me say this, and I'm gonna shut up. My youngest son, who went to a pretty prestigious school in Southern California, he got a nice scholarship from the dean. It was still a couple bands short of what we needed. Now let me tell you something. He had a little scholarship. That boy ate many a top ramen, many a day, many a mac and cheese in a bowl, many bowls of oatmeal. You know what I'm saying? So don't think you're going to go there and live the glamorous life. You're going to have, Hey, if you want it bad enough, like I said last, if you want it bad enough, you'll go get it. You'll make it happen.
Absolutely.
Yes. On the topic of scholarships, there's over 6 billion in scholarships are available each year, but many go unclaimed due to lack of applications. And this leads me into my next topic, which is FAFSA. The U.S. Department of Education reports that students who complete their FAFSA are twice as likely to attend college. So, how does the FAFSA, which stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid, process work, and why is it so important?
FAFSA is your first door into the college realm if you're planning to go, and even sometimes when you're applying to tech school. And all it is them seeing how much available funding they can give you. So remember, you are asking for funds along with several billion students who are needing funds to go to school, especially if you don't have the cash on hand to pay for your education upfront. So this allows the state or the federal government to see how much available funds they're able to give you based on the amount of income you have. And yes, they base it on your parents' income. So I know some of our students already start sweating because mom and dad make too much. Mom and dad have great paying jobs, right? And even for some of us in middle class, right? We still making ends meet. So when they say your parents make too much, really you making enough to survive. So it ain't even that you making a glamorous amount of money, but you don't qualify to receive grant funding based on FAFSA standards. So they're looking to see which loans they can give you. So whether it's your subsidized or unsubsidized loans that they're able to pour out to you. But again, this is where I say, you guys, no matter what you're doing, apply for them scholarships, because the scholarship, a lot of times, it does not matter how much your parents are making. Now, some scholarship requirements do. So always read what they're asking for or what they're asking for the requirements to be so that you know whether or not you qualify for it. But there are some scholarships that focus on students who are in the underserved population. So their parents meet that grant requirement. But a lot of times, even the grant funding that you get is still not enough for you to be able to make it when you're in college based on the college that you're choosing. So FAFSA is very important. The earlier you're able to do it, the better, because again, when funding runs out, you start to fall short. So I see Amaya nodding her head. So you want to be in that first pipeline of students that are receiving funds, because as soon as you submit it, it only takes a couple of days and they come back with, this is how much we're able to give you based on what you submitted or based on your parents' income. So the sooner, guys, the better. Please don't be that person waiting to the last minute, because you wait to the last minute and you ended up panicking, trying to find additional funds to fund your semester of school.
And you know, FAFSA has a filing period. I think it generally is like right about now, if I'm not mistaken, in October, and I think you have up until March to
I have
file.
to look because they changed it last year.
Oh, okay. See,
because they started a new process. And
see.
so yeah, because of that new process, and you're absolutely correct. October used to be the starting point. I don't know if they kept it for that for this year, but
This
last year,
year
because of
it's
the change, they did
no, this year it opens on December
in
1st.
December.
Okay,
Yep, because
good.
last year they
So there
changed
you
it
go.
in December. Yep.
And the thing is this, and I want to be very clear when I say this, because when we start talking about government money or government related anything, a lot of the generational trauma that hasn't been reconciled may pop up. So when we have communities who may not be brought up to speed on how all of this works, you might hear a lot of parents or family members say, "Hey, man, don't do FAFSA because I ain't trying to give all of my business." Right?
Yep.
I mean, it's a real thing. It's a real thing, and I understand that. But to sister's point, the only way you can understand how much you can get or available for is to file it. Now, that is a conversation that needs to be happening internally within your family to understand if that's an avenue you want to pursue. But I understand the trauma that's there. It's a real thing. But I would say in my own personal experiences, they're not gonna come knocking at your door talking about, hey, so and so lives there. You know what I'm saying? And that goes along with a lot of things, but it's a real thing. It's a real thing, so when it comes to FAFSA, at least. And don't be laying on FAFSA like it's, hey, you be in class and thinking, oh, I'm about to get this check, and you ain't did your FAFSA, and now you get this long line you got to stand in at the register or the bursar. Yeah, I didn't know what the bursar was till you get that letter. And then, what's the bursar's office? Hey, it's a real thing. Make sure you
Bursa said we about to drop your class because you ain't paid.
Talk to me. Talk to me. It's a real thing, y'all. You better be on that FAFSA.
All right. Thank you, Smitty. What are some common mistakes students make when applying for financial aid?
Not completing it on time. I saw you, Maya. Come on. She threw that hand up quick.
Or waiting to the last minute?
Yes, waiting to the last minute. Some students, if you have two last names, need to put both of your last names on the application. Otherwise, it's not going to get processed and your money is going to be held up if you qualify for anything. That's another thing they do.
Use your full name.
Yes, use your full name, basically. Use your full name. List the school that you're trying to attend. There's some other stuff in there, but yeah, list the school you're trying to attend. And if you put two schools on there, don't try to attend both schools at the same time. That's gonna lead to other issues down the road. Mm-hmm.
So true, so true. And I love that you bring that up because I know a lot of times when students are starting out with the FAFSA process, you're unsure of what school you're going to go to. So you start listing several schools on your FAFSA application, and that's absolutely okay, y'all, because all they want to know is where do you think you're going to go? So when those schools start asking for your financial aid status from your FAFSA, they're already in the know because it's automatically going to them. Now, let's say you put down a school or you put down several schools and you don't end up attending either one of those schools. You go on to another school now. They can still get the report from your FAFSA because you get the SAR in an email. So it either is probably going to your parent if it wasn't you who set up your financial aid. But you're still able to get that financial aid in the other school, even if you didn't have them listed on your FAFSA form. But it's exactly right. Like, and I love the point that you made, Amaya, about making sure that you have both your last names on your FAFSA because it does matter when you're trying to get your additional aid in school. So the name that you put on your FAFSA, which should match all your other documentation, is how you're gonna be known in college. So you want to keep that up because it will hold up your financial aid process if you're trying to re-up and you're not putting everything on there.
And I would say, I mean, I think that's pretty much covering everything that, is routinely missed. But I would say to add to that, if you're out there and you're filling out your FAFSA for the first time or whatever the case is, and I can't speak for most schools, but I know like local high schools around here, they have a college readiness center, if you want to call it that, where they have someone in there to kind of walk you through it. You know what I'm saying? Again, I just want to be mindful because I know when I was 15, 16, 17, it just seems like so much, to have all this information and put it down correctly, so don't get overwhelmed. Just go seek some help from somebody. And even if you don't have a college readiness center, your counselor should be able to help you walk you through it. And I think that's another thing I just want to add to this. Like counselors aren't there just to make sure you're going to your classes. They're kind of there to assist you as well with the next step to college and getting in there. So go talk to your counselor. I know a lot of people young people I talk to don't even know who their counselor is. And that's a problem for me. So go talk to your counselor and they should be able to help you with any of the questions.
And I will say, because I know there's a lot of young people too who have access to a counselor, and sometimes that counselor is not the best. they're not getting the answers that they feel they should have, or sometimes the counselors are not in the know and they're not taking the time to go seek the information to help the student. So I'll say to those students who fall in that category, it's okay to contact the schools themselves. So a lot of the schools' financial aid departments will answer those questions for you. So even if Maya's like, yep. So even if your high school team is not helping you and they don't know, contact your local community college. Even if you're not planning on attending that school, they're able to kind of help give you a lot of the information that you feel you may be missing. So if you don't know what your FAFSA dates and deadlines are, you can contact the school and they'll tell it to you. Why? Because they want to make sure that, you know, you got the information so that if you're planning to attend that school, you can come. If you're unsure about what some of the verbiage is on the application itself, if you're filling it out on your own, again, you can go to the local community college and they'll help you with understanding what some of those terminologies mean. And I know we have a lot of students who are first generation that are going to school, so their parents have no clue what this application process means. You guys, again, connecting with that community college and that financial aid department, they will sit down and help your parents to understand what the process looks like. They don't mind walking you through it. Just remember, you're going to have to call and make the appointment. So a lot of times you can't just show up and expect them to stop doing what they're doing to explain it to you, but call and set up the appointments, because a lot of them are more than willing to sit and help you understand the process and help your parents through the process. Because I know that a lot of times is a big issue. But I love that question, Jackie, because I know a lot of students sometimes, like when it comes to school counselors, they may or may not get the answers that they need in order to help them with those processes. So no matter if you're looking at a 4-year or 2-year or trade school, you're able to contact those financial aid departments at those schools themselves to get answers.
Yeah, and another common mistake is when someone is on disability or SSI, that does not mean that they cannot get financial aid. So, if you or your family are on, disability or Social Security, that doesn't mean that you're going to be disqualified from financial aid. I would highly recommend that you speak to a counselor or actually go down to financial aid and speak to an expert that can assist you on this topic and that can direct you in the right direction and sit down with you and say, okay, this is how it's done. Let me help you fill this out and walk you through that process, because they're going to know more than anybody else.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely. Come on, Caesar.
Okay, so this reminds me. So I didn't want to come in and say anything about college. So I don't know much about it, but I know the process of getting to that point, I guess. But sometimes for me, for when I was in high school, it was mostly just asking questions. Like, for example, Miss Abigail, I remember when I was in high school, you helped me out with my resume and all that, and that led to help me acknowledging the scholarship and the FAFSA and all that. So, and I think I actually won a scholarship for Steps Foundation. Yeah, which was great. And I remember the reaction I had when I found out. But it was great because even if it's like Smitty said or anybody else said, even if it's just like $500, $100, it still makes you feel like you accomplished something. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just like, for me, it was like I never really got anything like that. So it was like I did that. I did that all by myself. So it was like a huge accomplishment for me. So yeah, I mean, for example, I know a lot of kids well, when I was in high school, they want to ask the question, so they didn't know enough about the information. In my case, my parents, well, in my case, it's different, but it was mostly about my parents not knowing the process because you know, but yeah, sometimes you just gotta ask questions, and if the counselor doesn't like you said, Miss Abigail, it's not the best. You have opportunities with other people like yourself, which I took advantage like of because of you know it makes you aware of what you have. You have because there's a lot more opportunities now than it used to be. But yeah.
I love that you bring that up too, Caesar. One of the things that I also remember as some of the common issues that some students have is parents who don't file their taxes. And so a lot of times students get stuck trying to complete their financial aid because the parents haven't filed their taxes. But guys, again, reach out to the community college or whatever school that you're planning to apply to, because there's sometimes some workaround for that too. So I love that you brought up, Caesar, like continuing to ask questions, because a lot of times, like asking the questions helps you guys find the answers. So where you sometimes feel like you're stuck, there's somebody to kind of help you figure out how to navigate some of those circumstances. So I love that. And yes, Caesar was one of our scholarship recipients. Whoop, whoop. He applied and won a scholarship, a whopping $500. Yes.
Okay, so how can teens find and apply for scholarships, and how early should they start?
Man, there's scholarships available in middle school, y'all. You start as early as you can find them. I will definitely say that. So, outside of just our teens' parents, help them look, help them find it, because sometimes the kids may not know where to go. But parents, sometimes it starts at your job. Some of your jobs may offer scholarships to the kids. You know what I found interesting? There was a year that we actually sat down and we were like, we're just gonna go and compile like this whole big scholarship list, right, to help the kids. I know that we got some families that get furniture from Rent-A-Center. If your parent has an open account at Rent-A-Center, they give scholarships to the kids. So I'm saying there are like so many different kinds of scholarships. Walk around your local neighborhood stores and ask the stores if their main organization or their main corporation offers scholarships. A lot of them do. So, I mean, it's as simple as thinking about the things that you like to eat. McDonald's offers scholarships, Burger King offers scholarships, Subway offers scholarships, Taco Bell offers scholarships, and your local grocery stores.
Yes.
So these are all places that you guys visit all the time. Your parents patronize them heavily. They offering scholarships that you guys could be eligible for. So all I'm saying is start as early as you need to start.
And I think most like stores and stuff have a website now. So and they probably if you go to the store, they probably will send you directly to the website.
They sure will.
So yeah.
And then I just want to say this directly from our United States Department of Education. There's no age limit. Almost everyone is eligible for some type of federal student aid. All right. Pretty much, you just need to be a U.S. citizen, and because you probably don't need it for school or for K through 12, but have a high school diploma or a GED, have a social security number. The crazy thing, and my mother used to say this to me, and it didn't dawn on me until I was just got out of being stupid. But my mother used to say this like all the time to me. Like the easiest thing to do is give people stuff for free because they don't want it, because they don't want it. That's the craziest thing about how our mind plays tricks on us, especially when we're young. You know, you go to your local Burger King and you see someone that looks like Taylor Swift there, you're gonna be like, yeah, that's not Taylor Swift. Why would Taylor Swift be in my town chilling at, Burger King? And we're so gullible that we don't even bother to, they're like, that's not Taylor. Sure enough, it's Taylor, Funky Fresh in the Flesh. eating a Burger King sandwich. And that's what it is when it comes to education and getting these grants. It's there. It's there right in our face. Now I want to say this. Education isn't free. That's a whole political agenda I don't want to get on. But there's so much money available, it could be free.
Yep.
But human nature is, nah, that's not right. There's a catch somewhere. If I fill out FAFSA, the government's going to come and track me down and get me, or whatever. So it's there. It's plenty of money. You just gotta want to go get it. And like Sis said, man, talk to somebody at your school, community college. They can help you get it. It's there. It's tons of money. It's tons of money.
Yes.
I bet you if parents had to file $100 fee, they'd be more willing to fill out FAFSA, because for whatever we would think it means, oh, it's authentic, it's legitimate. Again, free stuff, man, makes people nervous. It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's the truth.
Okay, can you explain the difference between needs-based aid and merit-based aid?
Merit-based aid is really when it comes to your academic standing, and how well you do in school. So what Smitty said, like your federal dollars, right? So a lot of the students are able to qualify, especially here in Florida, for Florida Bright Futures. That is based on their merit. Okay, so do they meet the qualifications for their GPA? Are they doing well with doing all these community service hours? Your needs based is your low income, basically. You don't meet the minimum living wage in some cases to be able to afford to go to college. And so that's what they're looking at as your need. Okay, you don't have enough funding to go, so here we're adding these dollars for you to be able to show up to school. So that's how a lot of students are able to qualify for grants, as well as additional scholarship funding.
Thank
And
you.
you can be both. And you could be both.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So here's the thing about that. And again, not to be all political, but just so young folks, so you understand, with the removal of affirmative action. Affirmative action almost took the balance out of when we start talking about institutions of higher education and their admissions and who they accept, right? So now to this merit-based and to this needs-based, right? Now you do yourself justice as long as you put the work in. That's going to be your merit, right? But at the same time, you're trying hard, but your socioeconomic status, also assists you in that scenario, right? So now you got two things working for you, if you want to put it that way, right? So again, there's different ways to look at it, and I'm not here to stand on the side. I just want to make sure you understand, like, you'll be best served to do your very best when we're talking about the education part. Let everything else behind that fall in line. So one thing I'll share with you really quick, what I told my youngest son was, when we start talking about merit-based, I knew because of what my most beautiful and I do, that the needs impact was going to be difficult for him to fall under that umbrella. But what I did do when we start talking about merit, well, one, you got pretty good grades, my man, like nerd stuff, like 3.8 and above with college ready classes, right? You're doing all this community work, right? You're also an athlete, a pretty good athlete, right? And then the other thing was, you check a lot of marginalized boxes. You're Black, you're Native American, you're Asian American. So when we start talking about meritly, he could be under that umbrella. I knew that the needs wasn't going to be there. So again, there's so many different things to the levels when we start talking about merit and the needs, and then you put those things together and they work together. And again, that's all, closely related to affirmative action, which is a whole different topic.
I love it.
Okay. Let me see. What do we have next here? What role do student loans play in paying for college, and how can teens borrow responsibly?
Ooh, them student loans, Jesus.
Eh,
Listen, for as long as y'all can stay clear of them, stay clear of them. Um, and I mean that wholeheartedly, because it's what Smitty said. When it comes to those student loans, you guys will be indebted to them things forever and a decade, because they're adding interest onto that student loan, and it just continues to grow and grow and grow and grow. So you feel like every little bit that you're paying is not doing anything. And especially for those of you who are going into undergrad, or even just community college, right? You don't necessarily get the return on that investment right away, because again, once you graduate, you're looking for the job that's going to pay you enough money to be able to live and pay back the loan, right? So as much as you can steer clear of it, steer clear of it. And another, if you don't have a choice, right, and you have to go into tapping into that student loan bucket, I love the ending of that, responsibly borrowing, right? So it looks all good when you're a college student and you get that first check, that leftover money. I love Maya face, like, yeah. And you think you balling, because again, every semester, right, whatever money is not used, they're paying it to you. So I know y'all, you be like, yeah, here's $1,000. And I'm gonna go spend it on all these things that I want. Just know you gotta pay it back. So if they're giving you back the $1,000, y'all, save that $1,000. And I know it's hard. I know you guys are like, but it's in my hands. It's $1,000. They gave it to me because they said it was left over. But here's what ends up happening. Let's say you get to your last semester of school, that very last semester, and now you tapped out of funds, because it does happen. There's no more federal dollars for them to give you. And because you weren't keeping up with how much they was distributing to you, you didn't know. But remember, they gave you like $1,000 every semester that was left over. So now they're like, oh, well, we don't have no federal funds to give you, so you're going to have to come up with that payment on your own. The amount of students, they're paying it, because I don't have, $5,000 to give you right now, or to pay for my semester of school. So what are you left to do? Had you saved that $1,000 that they was giving you every semester, you would have the dollars to be able to pay for your class and your book. But we get it. We know you guys get those dollars, and a lot of times it boils down to, I have to live. I got rent to pay. I got a car payment. This is that extra money I've been waiting on. Oh, I can go splurge a little bit. Try your best, you guys, to save it, because it does end up coming back around, especially sometimes when you're not staying on top of how much federal dollars they're giving you and how much of it you spend. But if I can say stay clear of loans.
So, and sis is absolutely right. Stay clear. So here's how loans work. Subsidized means the feds are paying part of it, right? The interest. Let's talk about interest. Here's a crazy thing. Now, again, I'm just here in California, but Fed's interest rate right now is about 7%. Well, let me say that. To buy a house, someone's going to pay 7% over 30 years on their loan. You do the math on that. If you're getting a $500,000 loan, and you do about 7% every year for 30 years. Yep. Well, that's almost what you're looking like when it comes to your student loan. When you get that because they somewhere around 7%, depending again what loan it is and who's backing that. See, this is all financial lit that they don't tell you in high school. And like I had said earlier, and I said last week, you got to do your due diligence to find the return on your investment. Any good investor, because you're investing in yourself, that's what education is. You're investing in yourself. Any good investor is going to first and foremost be like, it's my return on investment. If I give you X amount of dollars, what am I getting back? That's the whole. People listen to me, young people and old people who want to go to college. This land we live in is based on capitalism. It's about making money. And the only way I make money, if I loan you money, I'm going to charge you money.
Yep.
Fair game. That's just the way it is. You don't have to partake in it. I'm not telling you to, but if you do, understand. So if I loan you 100, you're going to pay me back 1,000. Let that sink in. You feel me? All right. So that's student loans, and they can last as long as you. So let me say this. Let's talk about this really quick, and I'm gonna shut up. You did your student loan. You went through 4 years. You got your BA or your BS. You got a $400,000 student loan to get you a BS. You go get a job making $70,000 a year. You still paying 7% on your $400,000. Now you want to go buy a house. Well, first and foremost, they're going to hold this loan that you got against you when you start talking about how much money you can put onto that home and what home you can afford, but they're going to give you the money. And if you can't pay money, you want $1 million house, but you can only afford a $200,000 house, which is only a 1-bedroom, 1-bath flat that you share with somebody else. They still going to charge you 7% on top of your $200,000 loan for your house. Now you got $600,000 at 14%. Are you following me, people? It's a cold game when you start talking about the student loan game. Don't do it. If you're a 7th grader right now, get straight A's. Let me say this. This is one thing, and I'm shutting up after this. Shutting up. And I tell this to every young person I run across. Grades don't define you, but they pay you. Grades don't define you, but they pay you. Let me say that. Let me say that. So remember that.
That's real.
Real.
Yep.
Do we have time for one more question?
Yes.
All right. How do work-study programs work, and are they a good option for students? Ooh, I love that question.
Look, I say work study programs are definitely a good option for students. It's giving you 2 things, right? That work study program is helping you with job skills. So understanding what it's like to work in an environment while also allowing you time to study for your prospective field. As where a lot of times when you're on a traditional job, they don't care whether you're in school or not. That's your problem, not theirs. And so what they want to see is you coming in being a productive employee, but you get a lot more leeway when it's work study because they understand that you are a student with a need and that you are a student who is trying to work off a debt, right? So they don't mind if there's downtime in that office saying, oh, go spend this time over here working on your assignment so your grades stay up, or go sit over there and study for that test because we know you got exams coming up. They don't mind telling you that while also knowing that you're still learning, you're learning a skill working with them, but you're also being able to, focus on your academics. So I definitely say if you guys can apply for work study, do it. It's a way to get a couple dollars. It may not be a whole lot, but it's a couple dollars for you to be able to continue your education and focus on your education without having how can I put it? Without having the burden of corporate America's idea of you guys working a job and not caring about your schooling.
Yes, and it's also a way to network, meet new contacts in that perspective field while also gaining the knowledge of that perspective field. And maybe you don't go down that exact path, but you find, I don't know, like something a little off the beaten path, but that interests you. Maybe it's not mental health, but it's holistic health, whatever the case may be, but it's still in that field. You're meeting contacts, you're creating new relationships, And I think that it's just something wonderful for students to think about when they're looking into college.
Yeah, I agree with both of those statements. And then I would just add this, it also opens up the possibilities of introduction to you. Like I said last time, it's not what you want, it's what you like. You think you want to be a phlebotomist until you get into that doctor's office. And I don't know if y'all old enough to remember Quincy, but the opening scene on Quincy, they showed that boy bleeding and that boy just blank passed out. So it's a great opportunity to figure out, you know what? Do I really want to be a record producer? And then you get in there. I didn't want to say his name, but y'all see what's going on. Good old boy. So you get to see some things firsthand, right? And so you cannot be like, experience is the best teacher. I don't care what anybody says. So where study is the business, for real.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, what are some creative ways to reduce college costs?
Take
Scholarships.
Go if again, if you are in the 8th grade in the state of California, you can take college courses right now. I know 2 young people who are going to graduate in 3 years with their high school diploma and an AA. Now you're only talking about taking 2 years of paying for 2 years of college instead of 4. I mean, again, return on investment, financial literacy, financial responsibility. Now, I want to say this clearly. I don't know if I could put all of that onus or that accountability on young people to understand that. So I think it's imperative for their safety network, their environment, their supportive group to help them with that and to encourage them. And this is what I tell young people. Even if you decide not to go to college, what is it going to hurt you to start taking a college course in the 8th grade? Nothing. Because again, we all evolve, we might change, but what if you did? And we're talking about the bag. The bottom line young people care about is the bag. Well, part of understanding the bag is what you can lose in that bag if you're not financially responsible with that bag. That is a very
Come on, Smith.
financial literacy 101. If we don't talk about it, our young people won't understand how to keep what's in that bag. The bag is the most important thing. And if you don't understand what's in that bag and you just think it's glory, in that bag comes debt, in that bag comes bankruptcy, in that bag comes delinquent taxes on your property taxes, then they come and take your house. The bag has a lot of things in it, good things and bad things. But the more we help our young people understand that at an early age, they're better equipped to keep what's in that bag, at least the good stuff in that bag.
Oh, drop that nugget, drop that nugget. Look, see, I had to put the plate up for you.
I seen it.
Samantha would be so proud.
I know she was waiting. She was waiting.
All right, Miss Abby, I have one last question for you.
We done with questions. But
okay.
I love that you brought that up, Smith, because one of the things that I believe is also forgotten when you talk about that bag, right? And how we get those kids to secure that bag is that responsibility key. And I love that you said it takes that safety net, that village to help bring it to them. Because again, it's easy for us to talk to the kids, but the parents, the counselors, the community that is surrounding these families is what's gonna help them to be that responsible recipient of the dollars that they receive. So whether it's a grant fund, whether it's a scholarship, or whether it's financial aid. So look, I say that, Nick. Say that.
No, I now see I'm gonna shut up, but I know we got a couple of minutes, but I have financial literacy. If we're talking about getting kids right in education for the next institution and the safety net, that environment that's helping them, the elder statesman, we have to be financially mindful of what we're exhibiting in front of our students and our young people, because you get to the weekend and you want to splurge and go out and buy this and buy that or do this or eat out. And I'm not saying don't, but I'm saying at least be mindful and say, you know what, today, Junior, we ain't eating out. We're going to save this money because we're gonna need it for next week or whatever the case is. But there has to be a reason why you're not doing it, even if it's to say, you know what, you don't need those J's. But what I will do for you, instead of paying $300 for these J's, I'm gonna open up you a business account or a savings account. We're gonna put that 300 in there, and we're gonna let it accrue some interest. We're gonna let it get 2% a year or whatever the case is. Now you getting 2% instead of losing 7%. I'm done.
Yes, yes. And I also want to touch on, because I'm glad that you brought up the fact that the students can go ahead and start taking a lot of their college courses while they're still in high school or even in middle school in some cases. I want you guys to remember, when you first start off in college, it's all the prereqs anyway. So if you can knock out them prereqs while everything is still fresh in your mind from high school, you already one step ahead of the game. So I definitely encourage that too. And I'm glad that you brought that up, Smith. So I thank you for that. So that being said, thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of Talk Tuesday. Whether you're planning for a career right after high school or preparing for college, we hope that these conversations provide you guys with valuable insights to help guide you on your journey. The path for your future can be challenging, but with the right tools, resources, and mindset, you guys, you can navigate it with confidence. Before I let you guys go, I don't want you to forget about some of the upcoming things we have at Sales Foundation. First and foremost, shout out to our self-care series that's coming up next week. If you have not registered for it, go ahead and register for it, because it's a time. There's a time to be had. We give out prizes, and there's a certificate that comes with that self-care series at the completion of it. And it is open to students and families, so the whole family can attend and learn coping skills for 6 weeks. So we want you guys to have the right tools, to be able to cope with things that you're dealing with. Outside of that, you guys, we still have space and openings inside of our programs. And so you guys can visit us at www.stepsfoundation.org in order to find out more about our survival program and our Retain Your Brain program that's helping students on a daily basis. Remember that your future, or the future, is in your hand, and every step that you take towards your goals is progress. So yes, celebrate the small things, y'all. Whether you're exploring career options, applying for college, or building a resume, stay focused, stay determined, and know that you have the strength to create the future that you dream of. We're here to support you every step of the way. Be sure to check out our website for more resources, and we will see you guys next week for Talk Tuesday. Good night, y'all.